Today on Off the Hinges, relax, pour yourself a drink, and unwind from your week as I answer your questions and share stories about this week's trade. I'm joined by a special guest, and I have my whiskey in hand. I'm so glad you made it. Are you ready? Let's slide into the vault.
Welcome to Friday. Well, it's next Friday for you. We'll get into what day it actually is here as we're recording, but I have been looking forward to this episode for a long time. I'm here with a really good friend. You can see her in front of you. And if you're listening and not watching, maybe you should flick over to YouTube and check it out. Because this is just fun to watch two friends. But I know her from work. We're going to get into our story of how our paths have crossed. She'll tell you about herself. But she works at the NATO Joint Warfare Center, Norwegian civilian. She is the section head for our community services department. Just a wonderful human being. But I have to give the disclaimer, because we do work for NATO. This isn't endorsed by NATO or military or our nations or anything like that. It's just two friends. So don't go reading into things. It's just Josh and May Linn. So while I take a sip, so glad you're here. Introduce yourself to our listeners, please.
Thank you. So as Josh said, I'm May Linn Bie, a Norwegian civilian at NATO. But again, we are just talking here as friends today. I do work as section head of the community services section. We don't really work very related, but still we see each other here and there. Yeah. And you come to some of our events.
That's right.
Yeah, I've met your wonderful family. And we've shared both. I mean, we've talked many times, both work and, personally things happening in our lives at work. And it's, I like a conversation when it's not just superficial. So happy to be.
Yeah, so good to have you. And it's, well, first of all, I'm always humbled and honored when, I said this with Jens also, and any guest that I have, because it's a privilege to have so many guests from all over the world. And that's sort of a privilege of working where we do as well, because we get such a multicultural flavor and a multilingual flavor. So, of course, her first language is not English, but she speaks it incredibly well. And I'm humbled that people will flick over to my language and humor me to do this. So thank you for that, because I know it takes a lot more energy and mental processing to just try to keep pace. So I will smack me or throw your drink at me if I go too fast. I mean, Josh, slow down.
No problem.
But thanks for doing that. And as an introduction, we have an extra glass in the front, because today, if you're listening, I said welcome to Friday, welcome to the weekend, because that's when I'll release this. But we're about a week and a day early of when you all are going to hear this. Today is September 11th, which holds a good day of memorial for us in the U.S. and a lot of our partners and allies who shouldered up next to us since that day 24 years ago. And also, I'll just be honest, like May Linn and I have recently lost a really dear friend. If she wishes to speak on that, she can, but it suffices to say he worked at the JWC for a little while in the sports section with community services. He worked in the local SATs, the fitness area. Tragically, his life ended. And it's so it's just to honor and leave this as a memory of them, because I think it's going to be powerful today to talk about optimism, maybe through a lens that might not be so quick for people to think of. I think sometimes this word can be misplaced or misused with positivity or just like a happy, fluffy thing. And I can't wait to hear your thoughts. But optimism, hopefully the way we can frame it, can say, like, we can sit here and talk about a positive outlook while still having some somber reflections for people that we wish were here, or heavy things that have happened globally or locally in our past. And for me, I think it just boils down to, I really appreciate the little moments in between, like you said, like not the superficial conversations, but real talk.
Yeah.
We have coffee in what we call the G block. Don't worry, it's not prison. They don't lock us up and throw away a key. It's an actual block where we work, not like a cell block in like prison somewhere.
Yeah, it's the nice.
It is the nicest block. But we go there. Others would go other places. Sometimes we'll meet up, because it's sort of a nice, quiet, private spot to just connect. And those connections with people, watching my daughters when you came here, giggling and laughing and speaking to you in Norwegian. And those connections with people are so much more meaningful, I think, in light of this glass where our friends aren't here to share it, because you appreciate the brevity of the life we've been gifted and the meaning that we can bring into spaces like this. And it means a lot to me. So we're not guaranteed tomorrow, and I'm thankful for today, because we're here today. And that's so good. But before we get into some great questions, I always have the same few up front. So, number one, what are you thankful for this week?
Well, this week it's been a bit special since it started off with me and the team and others. A lot of people going to the funeral of this former colleague and dear friend who tragically passed very unexpectedly and at a young age. So, okay, last week was maybe more characterized by shock and sadness. But on Monday, as I sat at his funeral, I did feel very thankful for having known him, also for what he meant to me. In the sadness, I was also really thankful to have others to share this grief and sadness with. Like I had good colleagues / friends around me. I also talked to yourself, and having someone to share those, bad things with is also a lot to be thankful for.
Yeah. I remember the day that you told me. I went down. I don't always work out at the gym by the Community Services Center on base, but I went there that morning, and I'll be honest, I was like this close to not stopping in because I was just like, I need to get my workout in. And something just sort of pressed on me like, oh, you don't always stop in there. Go tell your friends hi. And of course I knew nothing. And that doesn't mean like I had a sense that anything bad happened, but it was just sort of this sense of like, I need to say hi to my friends. I don't always go down to their spaces. And of course, almost as soon as I walked in, you shared with me, which I was thankful that you did. But I walked away from that so glad that I chose to make time to just see people, even for a brief moment. And that sounds so small, but it is not insignificant.
Yeah.
Because in that moment, you were able to tell me personally instead of me hearing later from other people. And I think it was just even a small, very special, quick connection to give each other a hug and say, hey, I'm here for you. Thanks.
Yeah.
And as friends, you have to physically show up if you're able. I think that's really important. So I'm also thankful for that moment, even though it was heavy and some sort of shocking news. It makes you appreciate the relationships that are there. Yeah.
And also not to be scared of sharing, because
I
could have been, worried that I'll start to cry or that you would start to cry. What do I know? But that you just, say what's on your mind and what's bothering you.
Right.
And often it helps just to, having to say it.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's a sign of maturity. And I think a sign of trust also. Okay, I can trust this person, which is, I value that a lot. Yeah. So next question, what have you been learning lately?
Well, I've learned a lot lately, and maybe related to this story and unexpected loss. So it's a bit of a sad lesson in a way, because no matter how well you think you know someone, you feel that you're close, you're sharing things, you want to be there for someone, you reach out, and you think you really know them, but still, I have learned that you actually don't know what goes on inside their heads and hearts. That's a hard lesson.
Yeah, it is.
And I think yesterday was also the World Suicide Prevention Day. And it's also a good reminder, or an important reminder, that we still should never try to, reach out, be a good friend, ask how they're doing, be kind. Also to yourself, like we shouldn't be so hard on ourselves.
No, I think it's I had an episode a while back. I forget which number it was, but it was with a really dear friend of mine. She's one of my mentor coaches, and her name is Bobby Sue. And towards the end, she said, in a world where you can be anything, be kind.
Yeah.
And I love, it's not a simple thing to do sometimes, but I love the simplicity in that reminder. And I can just, now every time I think of kindness, I hear her tone and her rhythm and her cadence. And it's so gentle and so like cheerful, but it has a heaviness to it. Like there's a reason why I'm saying this.
Yeah.
And she just said it so beautifully. You can be anything, just be kind.
Yeah.
And it just really like imprinted my heart. Like, oof.
Yeah.
It hit me. I was like, yeah, you could do anything. Just be kind.
Yeah.
And show up for people.
Definitely.
It's so true. Yeah, it is a heavy lesson to learn though.
Yeah.
And it makes you appreciate, okay, I don't know what's going on with this person or this group, but there's something there I don't see, but I can choose to be kind.
And always try to.
Yeah. And you're good at that. I think we've talked about that a lot. Part of it probably comes with your position. Not that it's fake, but of course, with community services, you're always connecting the service members and their families and the civilians to each other and to the community and to events, which we'll get into that. That's a really good framework for optimism. But also, I think just you have an ability to bring a lightness and a smile where people enjoy your presence.
Oh, thank you.
And it's warming. It's nice to see.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think it's, as you say, part of my job, but it's also part of why I applied for this job, because I do think it's, I have a personality that kind of can tap into that and have something to offer. And I enjoy meeting people and being inclusive and
exactly.
organizing.
And you received that compliment very well for a Norwegian, because most Norwegians would just be like, you gave me a compliment. I don't know what to do with myself. Yes. I'm gonna deflect that one. Not you though. Good job. So I don't know if this is a tricky one, but take your time with it or let me know. But it's I always like to move from learning into like taking what we're learning and applying it for some sort of growth. So if you're taking either what you're learning that you shared or other things you're learning, as we move into the weekend or move into hopefully a season where you can rest, maybe get some reflection, how are you trying to grow and apply and transform with what you're learning in life right now?
I hope to grow by challenging myself, doing something out of my comfort zone. For instance, doing this.
Good job.
It's kind of, I've never done it before. Maybe it's not even, it's far from my comfort zone. And when you asked me, I'm not so impulsive, but I remember when you asked me, which was maybe even more than half a year ago.
Yeah, it was.
I was first kind of uncertain since I'm not impulsive. But
right.
Then I was kind of positive.
Yeah.
And also flattered, I must admit, because I've seen some of the great episodes you've done. And I was happy to be asked. And I'll go for it.
Yeah.
And there were also events at the start of the year which made me reflect that sometimes, it's good to have a deeper conversation, and why not a recorded one. So, but then time passed. And then I went into a phase of, why did I say yes to this? And even lately, when I haven't felt so positive or optimistic, my boyfriend even asked me, "Are you sure this is the right topic for you?"
Did you choose wisely? Should you
exactly?
Can you swap it or take a rain check?
Exactly. So then I started to doubt myself, but still, at the end of the day, I do feel it's a relevant topic for me and one that I can relate to.
Yeah.
And I do also feel that you should really take the opportunities when they arise.
Yeah.
That's really something I have learned the value of. I've done it many times, and it's given me growth and great experience that have really valuable for me. Like, for instance, when I moved to Uganda with the UN, it wasn't really planned, or it was unexpected in a way. And
she is a fascinating woman. So we're going to dig into some of these things. She just nonchalantly said, look, I did my bachelor's here. I went to Uganda here, and I was born here. So you're going to hear that soon. Stay tuned, because there's so much about you that's fascinating to me.
Thank you. But I'm just a normal person, but I do try to push myself to take opportunities. And as I said, in Uganda, I really felt maybe that's the furthest I've been from home in so many ways.
Right.
But still, it was maybe the most transformative experience.
Yeah. And that's what I like about this space is you meet people who in their mind might go like, I'm just simple, I'm just ordinary. But I think from the outside looking in, there's such a rich culture that you come with, and other people as well, or other guests, where everyone I've talked to has had a genuine humility of like, are you sure you want me? I'm nobody, or whatever. And I said, but then from my perspective, I'm like, I've been all across the world, and I love that you think of yourself as a simple person, but there's not everything is so simple about who you are. Definitely not a simple character, right? And that's what matters, is if we're talking about developing virtues, developing character, you don't have to be a famous person.
No.
And I think it's a good reminder of people that you probably walk by as a listener, or for us every day on the street, at the local supermarket, whatever, they might seem like ordinary people, and they probably have an extraordinary story.
Yeah.
And I remember this distinctly because I asked you to do this episode. It was towards the end of the year, and it was shortly after I had recorded with Elizabeth, our friend who passed in November, or just after November. So I think I recorded with her in November, and I was much to that idea that you had of, okay, I want to seize this opportunity, because you just never know an opportunity that you will have again, or another person, or that you can share together. Yeah. And that was such a beautiful time where, much like you, she came in the home, she saw the girls.
Yeah.
They told me that they were going to run away from home and go with her because she was going to give them puppies, and I wouldn't. But what a beautiful memory to have with a dear friend.
Yeah.
And the cycle of life happens. And so now I look at this and I go, that was sort of the reasoning why we were like, okay, we will do this. But yeah, a lot of things have happened between the initial, yes, I'll do it.
Definitely.
And now that might cause you to go like, did I make the right choice? But Definitely. I'm so thankful you showed up.
Yeah, and I did also go through this stage, why did I say yes? And what have I actually got to say? But as you said, I think everyone has something to offer and to say, and something to learn from. So normal is good.
And everyone has a story.
Yeah.
In stories, I would rather have someone who shares a genuine story, sit down for a conversation, than someone who reads all of these high theories and speaks in all of these facts and opinions. Because opinions can be argued, but personal stories, it's really hard to argue that. It's really hard for me to say that's not your experience.
Yeah.
So I just find so much more value in it's going to come in 2 questions. I'll ask you your story. Okay. But I love that idea of just sitting down, sharing a drink, sharing a moment, and saying, okay, tell me about you. What's your story, right? Because it's more authentic. And I'm not going to sit here and debate your story, because you're not just throwing these random thoughts or opinions at me. It's this is your life. And I think it's really important. But we are diving into this focus of optimism. So before we get into your story and some really good questions, I think it's healthy for all of us, me included, but for the listeners, because I know it a little bit, how you think about this word, or how you would maybe define it or frame it. So if you were to give it a really simple framework, how would you define optimism?
Okay, so to me, optimism is a mindset. That you have the belief that it's going to be okay in the end.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you foresee no problem. There may be challenges, obstacles, adversity, but you still have this mindset that you will be able to tackle or overcome whatever occurs.
Yeah.
And I think that some people may be more disposed to be more optimistic, but I still think that it's a choice that's available to everyone, and one that you have to or can make continuously.
Yeah.
It's every day, many times a day, that you have the opportunity to choose optimism in how you think and what you do. And
that's such a good word, the choice, because I think it does come down to a choice.
It doesn't mean that it's always easy. Obviously,
no.
If you have a setback, you might lose courage or feel a bit, frustrated. But I think it is something that you shouldn't think, I'm not an optimistic person, end of story. It's never going to be me, because I do think it has a lot to offer.
Yeah.
And I also think that optimism to me is kind of also, to a large extent, active coping. You are aware of what you can do something about and what you can't do anything about.
Yeah.
And especially accepting what you cannot change.
Right.
Will kind of, I think it will help your well-being. And we spoke about this, that optimism has a lot to do with well-being.
It does. Yeah, it's really interesting, because something you're saying resonates a lot with me with one of the different assessments I can give through coaching and more on the behavioral science side it's called the EQI. So it's an emotional quotient inventory. So it's a lot of different facets that make up your overall well-being. And one of the facets on that wheel of different traits, if you will, it's optimism, but that falls within the lane of stress management.
Yeah.
And so I love your thoughts on it's a mindset and it's a choice, because I really do believe there are external influences which might impact positivity or negativity of an emotion.
Yeah.
And we'll get into this a little bit later, but I feel like optimism is much more than that.
Yeah.
It's a choice, and it's more of a, like I said in the framing episode that I released earlier in the week, it's more of a discipline and a decision than what some people might say, oh, you're delusional or you're just holding to things that aren't really proven. No, it's very future focused, and you can't prove that it will work this way, but you have a vision and a hope that it will. And it's a discipline to work hard towards a more positive future state than it is now and to make it better. And so that, I think, is the difference in like optimistic or pessimistic people that just maybe throw in the towel and say, oh, I'm feeling sad today, so I give up.
Yeah.
So it is a very determined, disciplined mindset.
I agree.
Yeah.
Even kind of concrete compared to maybe positivity.
Yes.
Like I feel optimism can also be kind of preventive action you take, like in order to make yourself stronger, more prepared, more resilient. By doing that, it could be taking health initiatives that maybe give you a better or longer life. I think these are kind of concrete things that sort of could give you a real reason to be more optimistic, because you have done concrete things that give you grounds for having better chances of a good outcome.
And that's a really good way to frame it, because it doesn't, people shouldn't hear you incorrectly and think that, oh, May Linn's just saying, always be happy.
Yeah.
Or ignore the sad, or throw the emotions out the window. But it can complement it nicely when you can choose your next step despite maybe feeling set back. And it is a very concrete thing you can hold on to and say, okay, I will choose optimism and I will have my mindset fixed on that because I'm choosing a better situation than now. Or even if you're in a good situation, realizing that it may not last forever.
Exactly.
But I can still hold on to this mindset where when it changes and when those tides go out again, I still am holding to this purpose that I have, or this next step that I've committed to. That's really beautiful.
Yeah.
So this next one is fun to me. This is what I'm really here for. The rest of it's great, but this is the one Josh is here for. And I think everyone. So however you want to tell this, because you come from a really interesting and different background and story. So as far back and as much as you want to go into this.
Yeah. I mean,
what is your story?
Okay, my story is a very big question.
It is.
Okay, everyone's story is unique, but still, okay, me being born in South Korea, then adopted very young by a Norwegian family in Norway.
Yeah.
It's not really so unusual in Norway for my generation, but still, maybe that story makes me already think that my life was, to a large extent, influenced by coincidence. I don't know, maybe everyone feels like that. I don't know.
That was like the first question I had for you, because I said, okay, you aren't blonde hair and blue-eyed, so you're not from Norway. So where do you come from?
Yeah, exactly.
Kommer du fra?
No, I came here very young, at 4 months. I had a good and happy childhood and upbringing at Randaberg, just right outside north of Stavanger. As a young adult, I guess I found that I had this great desire to explore, and Stavanger suddenly felt really small, too small. So it was never really an option for me to study in Norway, and I just knew I wanted to. It felt like I almost had to leave in order to grow and discover both the world and maybe myself. So I left for university, studies abroad, and work afterwards took me to a lot of countries. So UK, France, Germany.
Oh, wow.
Italy.
All for schools and stuff?
No, between studies, it was more first Scotland, Edinburgh. Then after 2 years, I went for the third year on an Erasmus in France. Then back again to Scotland. Then I did a master in London. then my first job was in Paris.
Wow.
And before that, I also did some language courses in Germany. And anyway, I was all over for many, many years.
That's amazing.
And then, later worked a bit in Norway. Then work took me to Italy and later also Uganda. My career was initially focused on shipping, so maritime transport.
Mm-hmm.
Then coming from Norway, oil and gas is kind of like a natural place, especially for this area.
Yeah, this area for sure.
So I did that. And then, then it took me to the UN and humanitarian work.
Oh, wow.
And back to oil and gas.
So was that down in Uganda then?
Yeah, that was first in Italy at the headquarters of World Food Program.
Okay.
And then I went to the country office in Uganda or regional office in Kampala.
Mm-hmm.
That was great. Then I came back to Stavanger and Equinor, oil and gas again.
Yeah.
So the road is kind of like here and there. Sometimes it's not a straight line. It's just a lot
all
of
around.
All around.
Yeah.
And eventually to NATO in Stavanger, Norway.
Wow. When was that when you started working with NATO then?
It was in 2019.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if anyone had told me in 2019 you're going to work for NATO. I never thought I would have had this opportunity. And it just fascinates me how life kind of happens and it takes you places where you didn't expect.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I struggle or I find it fascinating not knowing what was coincidence, what was destiny, as some say. I do believe that you cannot really plan your life, at least not in detail. It would never turn out how you thought or wanted maybe, or even if maybe you wanted it in the end. But at the same time, I feel you can influence to a large extent situations, moments, and in this way, maybe also the direction of your life. So,
absolutely.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, I find with you've been so many places, but I agree with you. You can definitely influence it. And I think a huge influence is, for me anyway, has been the people I surround myself with. And maybe the ways that either they could encourage or discourage me in the choices I'm going to make. Because it is, like you said it's a lot of choices.
Yeah.
And of course, optimism, if we're keeping it true to the topic, is it's a mindset and it's choices you're making very deliberately. So going this windy path through all these countries and all these great experiences, each one of those moves was a choice.
Yeah.
Like you had to choose, I'm going here, I'm going here.
Yeah.
So maybe outside of being adopted when you were a little girl from South Korea into Norway, then as you grow up, going to school in the UK and then follow on and then all over Europe, down to Uganda. Yeah, it's fascinating, but you could have chose to not do that.
Exactly.
So like what a rich experience and exposure from just little choices maybe.
Yeah, and I could have also chosen to stay in either one of those countries and never come back.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, life took me back. And as much as I wanted to leave initially as a young adult, later and even now, I'm so thankful to be living where I am now.
Yeah.
I think something obviously happens when you have children. Now I think this is the best place to be and I like it.
Isn't it amazing? How old are your children again?
They're 10 and soon 12.
Yeah, it's such a great spot for young children.
I think so.
Norway and specifically this region, it's fascinating and it's beautiful.
But it's also that you yourself maybe change with all your...
I agree.
Like now I appreciate and love that it's small. Like I find it easier to...
Yes, I love the small... I was showing her our home because we're downstairs and I was showing her like where we're at. And it's not far, like 10 to 12 minutes to the airport to Sula and then 10 to 12 minutes to Centrum and Stavanger. So it's like very centralized to a lot of things. Yeah. Like a 5-minute down the hill to the Viking Stadium in Hinna.
Yeah.
But you feel very secluded and it's very quiet. And I agree. Like I've always appreciated a little bit of space and quiet, but man, the older I get, I just value being able to wind down.
Yeah.
I love people and I love engaging, but when I can separate and find some space, that's so nice.
Yeah. Just being able to have a balance.
Right. It does. It comes with age. I think you appreciate little things, hopefully a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the quality time and the time to do nothing
Yes.
or be around no one. Also, that's totally cool. So yeah, it's a beautiful area. I love it. Well, thanks for sharing. I know you could keep going and going.
Probably, yeah, I could.
But it's fascinating. I could probably do like 5 episodes unpacking your work with the UN or Equinor.
Yeah, and moving here and there. And I mean, now that I think, it was so much fun, but if I'm honest, moving, although that's what I wanted and I thrived doing it, it's still hard each time you have to leave and say goodbye to friends and colleagues here and there.
Right.
It's still kind of a huge transition.
It is.
Kind of challenges maybe settling it somewhere else.
Right.
But there again, optimism is very valuable.
Mm-hmm. And I think for me, we talked about this the other day, I think with the girls, and I love giving them the experience of a new culture and letting them travel. But there's also part of me that wants to provide a little bit of stability and security with like not always yanking them all over the place, which in the military, that's hard to be able to do. So I value and appreciate any amount of time where like I might have a little bit longer where I can just stay somewhere with them and they can plug into the culture and the community, because that's how you build some good roots and really some life-lasting relationships and friendships and connections. It makes it a little deeper and meaningful. So I just feel like a plant. If you plant something and water it, it's going to allow its roots to grow out more. And you can uproot it and plant it somewhere else. But the more you can sit it in a good environment and nurture it, especially at a young age for them.
Especially your kids, they're like learning language in a flash.
I couldn't even keep up with your conversation with them earlier. They were just going on and on. I was like, well, you understand them, not me. So, but that's honestly, like, jokes aside, I'm humbled and I'm very filled with thanks that my little girls are smarter than me, even at something that sounds so silly as like speaking a language.
Yeah.
They can speak fluently to anyone they want, or understand, at least for the little one, anyone she wants in Norway.
Yeah.
Much better than I can. And it challenges me. And I'm so thankful that they are developing something in their brain and in their cultural abilities that I don't even have developed yet. And I can admit that as a grown man. And it makes me very thankful that I've given them that opportunity. So I think when a little bit of humility and love for someone goes like, I want to give you more than I had and give you a better opportunity. But again, that's not disconnected from this idea of optimism either. No. Like I have an optimistic hope for their future. And then it forces me to make more opportunities for them and to get out of their way so they can flourish and grow.
Yeah.
And I see with your children as well. We've talked about that a lot. It's just, it's a beautiful thing.
They also know many things that I don't know or
so much.
Good at, whether it's skiing or painting or computer games. I don't know, but it is good to see, that they really feel they master.
Yeah. But one thing I don't want to learn is whatever their new form of mathematics is, how they're figuring it out.
Yeah.
I'm not buying into it. It probably works for them. I don't care. I don't understand it. I don't care to. Knock yourself out.
No, they have to just do that.
Yeah, you're by yourself on that one. All right, so next, we talked a little bit about this, but I think this is interesting because you were the first one that mentioned to me when we were talking about optimism. You said, ooh, but what about positivity? Because maybe that would be easier. Maybe at times I'm more positive, or maybe at times I'm neither. I don't know.
Confusing.
But it can be confusing. But I think our discussion around that was really helpful. And it brought a lot of things back to the front of my mind as well that were healthy to segregate the two a little bit from each other and appreciate they are different words.
Yeah.
And they mean different things. So when you see positivity and optimism, are there times where you might see them as similar? And maybe even more importantly, how do you see them as maybe different?
I think this is just me, but maybe in my private life, I see them more as similar.
Okay.
I mean, they both have positive effects on me,
sure,
those around me, my everyday life. Whereas I think optimism, I feel it's maybe more useful and important in the workplace. I mean, positivity is great everywhere, also in the workplace, but I feel, as we've said, it's maybe more tangible and more kind of less fluffy, more you can substantiated in a way. You can
Mm-hmm.
do things that make you more optimistic, and you know that you are well prepared or
Right.
have a better chance of succeeding or overcoming problems that arise.
Yeah, and I agree with you completely. It's, to me, it has, yes, optimism is, I believe, like a desire and a decision to influence a positive effect or a positive impact.
Yeah.
Or a positive choice, hopefully.
Mm.
But positivity is a more of a feeling or an emotional.
Yeah.
And I think not that you can control the future, but you're controlling a choice towards the future.
Mm.
So for me, and like when we talked about it, this is sort of the way you described it to me. And it was like, man, that was almost perfectly put with the way, at least with the way I interpret it. So I agree with you. These are just two people talking, but it's my show and she's my guest. So we're the ones talking. If you disagree with us, let us know. It's fine.
Yeah, this is just our views.
Yeah, this is unlike a story. This is an opinion. But from my personal experience, everything doesn't always feel positive.
No.
And definitely negative things can creep in. Those are more immediate. Those are more circumstantial.
Yeah.
But the optimism is a hope for a positive outcome beyond the immediate feeling. And again, appreciating this might come and go a little bit. That's fine. And I think it is healthy to value the positive aspects of a feeling. But you can definitely choose things. And I think I see that a lot as a parent also, because I get a lot of emotions from my daughters.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're real positive and sometimes they are not.
Yeah.
But if I want to be a good father and a good leader in my home and just a good example, I have to model to them, like, to make decisions that go beyond just what they're feeling and to help them work through. How do you make a choice when you don't feel like doing it? How do you work and clean up the dishes when you're lazy, when you don't feel like? And sometimes they're happy. Sometimes they clean. Sometimes they're dancing and it's fun. A lot of times they're not.
Yeah.
And that's a simple example, but even for little children, it can have an impact on how I think you frame it for them and define those two different words. So I love that for you. Yeah, it's just, and I see that with you because you do bring positivity in the workspace and you definitely bring a good smile. And part of your role with community services, of course, you are a very positive person by nature from what a lot of people see. But you and I have also had coffee in G Block following some heavy life things that have happened.
Yeah, yeah.
And those aren't the most positive, fluffy talks. They're very genuine.
Yeah.
And I would say they are very optimistic because you always are very positive towards what you hope it will be like tomorrow or the next week or the next plan.
Yeah.
But I think that's such a very distinct line and difference that needs to be made. Yeah. And you were the one that brought that up for me. So
yeah, no, I do. It is this forward-looking element is a lot. It's kind of to a large extent what enables you to be a little bit more optimistic where on the difficult days or when something sad or bad has happened. Sure. Yeah, it happens for all of us, but yeah, you just have to kind of both look forward and, for me at least, accepting things have also helped a lot in order to be able to move forward or look forward. You have to first accept what has happened.
Right. And like you said at the beginning, that was a beautiful way to put it. Like, so much of optimism when you framed it is like appreciating what you can't control.
Yeah.
What other people choose to do or what is done to other people or done to you, you can't control that. All you can control is the way you respond to it and choose to act.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you, all you can control is your own emotions and your own self.
Yeah, because things beyond your control will happen.
Because they are just that. So it's like, and it's almost like optimism. Do you really need it so much when everything is positive? I think it's a virtue that you really need to rely on more when there is stress. Like, it is something that becomes more valuable to me anyway when things aren't so good.
Definitely.
Then I really need to rely on that concrete next choice. When it's positive, it's like, oh, well, this.
Yeah, you don't need
Sure, it's optimistic because, like, why not? Everything's awesome. Like, Lego movie song, like, everything is awesome. Everything's cool when you're part of a team.
Yeah.
But then when you're not,
yeah, you notice it more when things don't go.
Yeah. And that's human nature. So that's a really good definition. So in your role, community services, when you take sort of that lens or approach to what you do from like a work aspect, there's a lot of the planning that you do for connecting other people and future stuff. When you're thinking of optimism, what does it look like for you in just like your daily rhythms? Maybe not big things, but just like small, ordinary moments with that specific task you have.
I think it's hard to give a concrete example, but I do think optimism does play an important role to all our work. I mean, we help people who are maybe new in the country and find settling in or getting used to living in Norway a bit overwhelming or challenging at first.
Right.
But mostly we are also planning things in the future. We always have a lot of events planned going forward, quite a long time in advance. So that forward-looking element, I think, makes optimism very relevant for us. We rely also on our experience, but also on feedback, inputs, new ideas. We try to incorporate that into our planning. I do find optimism is particularly useful in the planning phase.
Absolutely.
Definitely, because, you think you want to come here. What are the obstacles or challenges? What went well last time or didn't go so well? So we might try to make it different or make it something better. And all of those things benefit from optimism.
And you hope that in light of the optimism, the people leave with a positive experience. So positivity does matter.
Yes.
It has an impact, especially on your job. Because if you're optimistic of a plan, but they didn't have a positive experience, they just won't do it again next time or next year. So I think that's a place where it does complement it. Like you want people to enjoy what you've set up for them.
And I think that's the great part about both positivity and optimism, that to me at least, I have this belief, or feel I can almost say it's happened. There is some kind of chain reaction. If you have positivity or optimism, you will attract more positivity and optimism, and it rubs off on others. I feel there is almost like some degree of self-fulfilling element.
Right. Yeah, and it's, I think, a really good analogy. I framed it in a small way like this, but we've talked about this. You can take this from both an emotional and a physical perspective, but let's start with the physical, just to paint a picture of like what it's like to live in Norway as the seasons change.
Yeah.
Because if you want to correlate, when we're talking about optimism, if you want to look at like the influence externally, positivity, we can just think of that as daylight and energy.
Yeah.
And we'll just think of negativity as darkness and gloom and cold. And it's called the land of the midnight sun for a reason. So when you go, especially to the high north, but even down south here, the days in the summer down here are amazing. After 11 at night, you're out in a barbecue, sun is still out, kids are still running and playing. It's nice. It's not too hot, not too cool. Perfect. And now it's starting to be more rainy, cooling windy, off more, getting a little nastier, darker, more windy. It's turning into winter. I don't mind the seasonal change. It really makes us appreciate it. But I have talked to a lot of people, both locals, but also a lot of Americans that come out here, say, oh, in the winter, I get so depressed. I don't get enough sunlight. It's so, it's just dreary and gloomy. And
I still feel like that.
Yeah. And but there is actually an impact it has on you as a person.
Yeah.
Physically. And you go way up to the high north, maybe somewhere like Finnmark.
Yeah.
You're going to get maybe 2 hours of twilight, not even daylight. Of course, you know that. So it's like the more north you go, the crazier it gets. So that has an actual impact on the way people feel.
Yeah.
Which definitely can, if you don't separate those feelings from your choices to be optimistic, you can start feeling very pessimistic or very negative, or I can't make any good decisions or choices. So I think starting with your framework is a healthy point, but appreciating that there are going to be seasonal changes, maybe somewhere in the world you move to that you don't know until you're there. So appreciating you have to be bracing for a different bodily reaction.
And these are things you cannot change.
You're not changing the sun. You're not changing the rotation of the earth. You're not, sorry.
You only have yourself to work.
Again, you can't control that, but it has an actual impact on you.
Definitely.
And you feel it. I see the girls sometimes, their attitudes change. It's real. It's so real.
Yeah, I feel in
It's amazing.
summer and spring, I'm really more like a morning person. But
Oh, yeah.
now, lately, when I feel, oh no, it's like practically winter soon.
I know. I want to throw another log on the fire, pour another glass of bourbon, and just snuggle up and, stay cozy. Yeah.
No, we are affected.
But I think the flip side of that, if you want to take the dark and light, is like once the light is out, it's not like you just can flip on darkness. Like when you bring light into a space, it brings more energy. And I think to give a little bit of encouragement that like positivity can help your efforts. So when you can choose to have a positive outlook, even if you aren't feeling like it, when you bring light into something, the light makes the darkness go away.
Yeah.
Right? Like you don't turn on the darkness. The darkness is only the absence of being light.
Yeah.
So like you don't turn on negativity. Things become negative when you fail to bring a positive outlook into it. Yeah. I really believe that. So things are negative when they're not good. So just bring goodness, bring some lightheartedness, bring a smile, bring a handshake or a hi, nice to meet you. I haven't like all of those things you do well with newcomers and the staff. I think that helps keep some of the seasonal, sadness away a little bit. Yeah. And if you're smart on that as a leader or a communicator or a connector, you can actually look at like physically in the winter in Norway, it's going to suck for some people. Yeah. I need to dial up my positivity a little bit because exactly. Everyone's going to be struggling. Yeah.
It's a good way of
it's so
to
true,
make
though.
An effort because this is a period which is maybe harder.
Yeah. But you've done that. You and your team do that very well because I think you appreciate the changes it has on people.
I have a great team.
Honestly. They're amazing.
Yeah, they're amazing. And I think we're good together. And I appreciate them at work and also, when non-work things happen like the loss of our friend, colleague, they're really good people.
It is. And it's, I remember the other day, Laura was having a struggle with something like she had to renew her work license or visa here. And so she reached out and was talking with Ula and he was just so quick to help her every way he could. And but that's also, they are like that, but that's also you sort of being in charge of the section. That's a environment that you set where everybody works well together. So I think from a leadership side of things, from an organizational side, it's really healthy when you have leaders like you who embrace this idea of optimism. Like I will set a good example of a positive trajectory for my team. And then I will step back and make space where they can just be really good at what they do.
Yeah.
And you are I walk down and you're all sitting on a couch, like having a coffee in the morning, it's nice to see really good friends that also are colleagues.
Definitely. And I think, it has a lot of positive effects for us. And I think, the team has a lot of strength in allowing each one to do what they're good at. I don't want to micromanage or interfere. They're really great.
It's so good. Yeah. So can you think of or share a story where optimism didn't just shape your outlook, but it really shifted the way that the people around you responded or maybe trusted in you or maybe even grew a little bit stronger together?
I think the COVID pandemic was a good example for me and us and the team. I mean, we interact with a lot of people, like physically, they come and see us and we organize a lot of events and activities, which, of a social character.
Right.
So, obviously, when the pandemic hit, we were very restricted overnight. We couldn't do what we're used to do it, the things the way we're used to doing it.
Right.
We had to adapt to constantly changing national COVID regulations. It was really difficult, and they were changing very often. And from starting to plan an event until you actually did it, the rules could have changed multiple times.
Right.
But I think that challenging environment and coupled with optimism and a desire to still try and do our job and do it well, it made us more creative
Mm-hmm.
and I think more agile because we were kind of always watching and following
Right.
what's the next change going to be and how do we adapt. So we did adapt. We did maybe different activities or on a smaller scale or in smaller groups or maybe more outdoors.
Right.
So it was a difficult period, but it was also a period where I really felt that there was also a lot of trust and togetherness.
Mm-hmm.
We followed the rules together. We participated in the vaccination program.
Sure.
We showed that we cared. Neighbors doing grocery shopping if someone was in quarantine.
Yeah.
In that sense, it was good to see those things.
Right.
And I think maybe in Norway in particular, people were very good at being on the same side and following the government rules, regardless of their own political view.
Yeah.
We kind of just did one thing for the team.
Yeah, take care of each other. Yeah, I noticed that a lot when we came to. We came sort of more on the back end of it, but it was nice to see people that weren't fighting at each other and bickering over different stances or maybe political or whatever other views. Like it was just a genuine desire to, okay, let's just get through this to the other side together. And thankfully, like, to be honest, Norway's rules weren't as ridiculously strict as even other countries. So I was thankful for that. We came here and it wasn't obnoxious.
Yeah.
It was healthy. It was respectful, but it wasn't over the top. So that I was thankful for that to start. I was like, oh, good. But it was difficult for everybody.
Yeah,
it truly was a global pandemic.
We needed optimism, but even also in our personal life and in our work environment, we definitely.
Yeah, because it doesn't feel positive when, especially as a parent, yes, wearing a mask and all those things were beyond frustrating and all of the things. But then watching my little girls, right? So let's just be practical about it. Aria, when the whole pandemic first hit before we even moved here, she was really young. Yeah. And of course she has glasses and we were living in the desert in California. So it's incredibly hot.
Yeah.
And she's wearing glasses and she's wearing this mask. It's always fogging. She couldn't stand it. She wanted to take it off. And then she's like, not getting yelled at, but getting sternly corrected if she lowers her mask at school. Like, and like you're getting threatened to get kicked out of school when she's super little. That's a lot for a small child.
Definitely.
Nothing about that feels good.
No.
So choosing optimism and choosing not to be negative and talk bad about people or whatever that's out of your control in that moment as a parent or just as anyone is so hard.
Yeah.
Like it's easy to talk about it sometimes, but then when you actually have to apply it and do it, I appreciate it's not as simple.
No.
It's easy to just.
Kids will touch stuff like at the grocery store.
Come on.
And I was scared of being told off.
I tell Karina every time we go into Rematusen or something, like, you can't pick up all the fruit.
Yeah.
Or like she'll get it and like she'll act like she's going to start eating it. I'm like, no, stop touching everything. I don't want to buy it all.
Yeah.
Stop.
It's a good tactic.
Dad'll have to buy all of this now. But yeah, one of them came up to me like 2 nights ago, came up to me and she loves putting her sandwiches, like making her sandwiches on like hamburger buns. She just thinks they're so good. Well, we were going to have like hamburgers one night. And I don't think she did it intentionally, or maybe she did. Who knows? I didn't get mad at her. But she took them out of the bag and had them both in her hands. Yeah. And she hadn't washed her hands for dinner yet. And goes, acted all sweet. Oh, Daddy, may I have these for dinner? I said, well, who else wants to eat them now that you've been touching all over them and your hands are all dirty? Oh, I guess I'll just have them then. I'll make them for lunch tomorrow. I was like, you're sly. I said, fine. And next time we have hamburgers, if we run out of buns, I'm taking yours first for your sister. She said, oh, okay. Yeah, but I think for optimism, it's true with teams. Last virtue that we talked on, it was with Jens. And it was on flexibility. But something you said about, it's very interesting. And I've thought of this, but I didn't really make the connection until you said it. And it's very interesting that we're following up flexibility with this virtue of optimism, because looking at your team and looking at like all of the things in the pandemic or other difficult things you've had to navigate as a leader, I talked with Jens about this, like having a flexible leader and having a flexible team builds a lot of trust in people, because they know that if you need to do it a different way, you won't be so rigid. Like you'll abide by rules or protocols, but you won't be so closed-minded that you can't flex and try something different. So I think if you can be flexible, it actually helps you be even more optimistic because you're like, I know my team isn't going to be so stuck.
Yeah, true.
Like we can try new things.
Yeah.
So I think they're very complementary also. Which until you said that, I was like,
it change your mindset if you're set on doing it this way, but then you have to change it and obviously flexible.
And like you said, it's not changing the strength or the concrete character you have. Like you can still hold very true to like, I want it to be positive. There's a certain like ethics or morals that I need to hold to, and those won't change.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do things this way. So that's an optimistic view. But to be flexible, you realize, maybe I can do a different method and still get to there. Yeah, that's awesome. So as we sort of wrap this up with this thought of optimism, if you were to walk away from this and go like, Josh or someone, they didn't ask me this question and this would have been nice. Or I didn't share this and I wish I would have said that. So if you can put yourself in the future and rewind and go like, I wanted to say this, or we didn't cover this. What would you say to people to leave them sort of with a final thought on this virtue?
I don't know, maybe maybe if you'd asked me what have I learned as an adult that I would have liked to tell my younger self.
Can I ask you now?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's rewind it. Oh, so May Linn, I had this wonderful idea. What have you learned as an adult that you would like to tell your younger self?
What I've learned as an adult, that I wish I'd been told was that, things don't have to be perfect the whole time. Often 80% is good enough.
Yeah.
Also, not to worry too much. I think I have a good track record of worrying too much in the past, something I've worked on because a lot of the time it was totally unnecessary. And also, I don't know, just learning from the past and accepting things and always look forward. I think those are things that enable me to be optimistic and that I wish maybe I'd been more aware of earlier.
Yeah. That's true. But like you said earlier, it's also nice when you think of kindness that we have to be kind to ourselves and go, I was young and I didn't know as many things then.
Yeah, exactly.
So now that I'm older, it's easy to look back and go like, oof.
Yeah, you just have to go through it and learn it. Like someone could tell you, but it kind of just...
You just have to do it.
Repels,
It doesn't really... For me especially, I'm sort of stubborn and sometimes ignorant. So like I just have to learn by messing it all up and then I'm like, well, I guess I can't do that again. Yeah. Well, before we close it out, I say this every episode, but I think there's been a lot on the news. There's been a lot going on in the world recently with what we do in our day jobs, whether it's through NATO or just across all of the different countries, even in my own country, that sometimes can be heavy, can remind you of how short life is or people that get taken away too soon. So without making this a sad and somber moment, I always at the end tell my daughters and my wife, like I try to record and capture for them, like, hey, this is for them. And this is something I'm trying to leave with friends that I love and respect and colleagues that I can bring on to share just good conversations about our stories and things that matter to us to try and make the world around us a little bit better and brighter. So for Laura and Aria and Alessia and Karina, of course, I love you all. This is for you. But this week, and especially today on September 11th, with just remembering what it was like 24 years ago for families that get ripped away too soon. And it's happened so many times between because that's how the world happens. But it sits a little more pointed and maybe a little bit heavier today that I share that and capture that because, people will hear this after the 11th, but there is a glass that wasn't drank tonight to honor our friend who recently passed, to honor so many friends. And honestly, like, let me just be real from my heart, to honor all the people who have lost someone or are in the middle of something difficult that we may never hear their stories, right? We see you, we hear you, even if we don't know you, like we value who you are. And I'm so glad that we could share this space in this conversation for them and for each other, but especially for my girls, because come on, that's what matters to me. So last word over to you, but thank you so much for joining me. I'll let you say anything before we close it out.
Thank you so much for letting me be here, for taking me through this. You're really good at steering the conversation.
You're easy to talk with.
I also, it's not something I do every day, but it's to, just sometimes push yourself out of the ordinary. And I can also, I would also like to dedicate to my kids, to my boyfriend and friends and other family who give my life purpose and meaning.
Yeah.
Love.
And I'm going to leave you with this just because May Linn will appreciate this maybe more than anyone I've had on here. That question number 5 of what is your story?
Yeah.
Was the one question that Elizabeth, when I talked to her about that, she goes, you need to ask that of everyone because that's an amazing question.
I remember that.
So after that episode, I brought that on board for everybody. And in honor of her, because we loved her so dearly.
Yeah, definitely.
And she was such a dear friend. That one's for her. And it's enriched these conversations so much to just ask such a simple, broad question and just listen. Your story is amazing. You're a wonderful person. So thankful for you. Cheers so much.
Likewise. Cheers.
And cheers to all of you. Have a great weekend. Get ready next week. Fred and I will get back to good. We'll talk a little more application. Optimism, not positivity, but both are pretty good. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Off the Hinges. Don't forget to follow Foundational Coaching on your favorite social media platforms. Kick off your Saturday with me tomorrow morning at Coffee and Reflections on Substack, where I'll share my reflections and stories on the weekly virtue. I'm honored to be a part of your story today, and I'm proud of your growth, my friend. I can't wait for our next time together, exploring the vault.